Forced marriages in the UK is a huge problem. The forced marriage unit recorded in 2014 1,267 cases. But what we need to recognise is that this is a huge underestimate of the reality of the problem, and that's because people are not reporting.
Why do you think forced marriage is still a problem in Asian culture in the UK today?
Okay, I mean, it is definitely still an issue, but I think what we need to remember again is that forced marriage is not just an Asian problem. In 2014, the Forced Marriage Unit reported that of the cases that they had received, people were from backgrounds of 88 different countries. So we can't just say that this is an Asian issue. It happens, across different backgrounds, religious background as well, because actually no religion actually condones forced marriage either, and that's something that we need to remember. As the Muslim Women's Network, we fully say explicitly that Islam does not condone forced marriages, and this is one of the really effective tools that we can use in our communities, because it's not acceptable either by the UK law, by international law, it's against human rights, and it's also against religious laws which govern our communities. The fact that it's now against UK law is a really effective tool, because this is something that we can say quite clearly, that it's against the UK law, and there's a risk of, people being sent to prison for actually doing this act. For me, that's a really powerful tool. But also I think it needs all of us saying that this is not acceptable.
Tell me about some of your work.
So we're currently running 5 workshops in 5 cities across the UK. These workshops were funded by the Department of Communities and Local Government. And what we're trying to do with these workshops is have very deep and meaningful conversations about forced marriage and honour-based violence, looking at victims' experiences of these issues, and also finding ways to have these difficult conversations not only in our families but also in our communities.
What's the feedback you've had from these workshops so far?
I think the feedback has been largely positive, because what we're doing is making people aware of the rights available to women and men, because we have to remember that forced marriage doesn't only affect women, it also affects men. And we're also making people aware of what support is available, and there is support available. We're the Muslim Women's Network. We run a helpline so people can call us if they're worried about being forced into a marriage or are at risk. But also there are other organisations across the UK also working on this issue.
Is the government doing enough?
It's not just the government's responsibility. I think the law is one solution. Awareness raising needs to happen across communities. Also, frontline services also need training. It's not just about working with communities, it's also about training the police, it's also about training health services to recognize the signs when they see somebody access their service who needs support and help. They need to know what to do with somebody. There's a huge underreporting of this issue in the UK, so we need more people coming forward, being brave enough to say, actually, I'm going through this, or I'm at risk of this happening to me, and I don't want it to happen. Every individual has a right to choose who they marry, and it should be full, free and informed consent. And this is something that we need to hold on to. It's our human right to be able to choose the partners that we marry.